Hey, James Clay, Phil Wurz here, and we've got the GTMore behind us. So this was supposed to be a One Lap of America wrap-up video, but One Lap of America takes like a week or 2 weeks or however many weeks of prep Phil did.
It was like 4+.
So yeah, it takes some time out of your life, and you have to catch up on life. So we're now like a month past that, month and a half, two months past that.
Well, you did have Pikes in the middle there somewhere, so that took some time.
Pikes Peak, a little SRO racing. So anyway, this is now our GTMore prep video for GridLife, but with some learnings that we had from One Lap of America, because when you live with this car, you learn a lot. And you take notes on what you learn.
Got notes here.
And we're just gonna work through this stuff methodically and go through what we've learned, kind of some standard practices that we do post-event, but then also things specific to this GTMore car and things we learned about it, things that we're going to evolve for what we do at BimmerWorld on this project and this type of car.
One thing, the brakes on this car. We had this car running outside of its normal operating temperature for the brakes quite a bit for what we normally have. We've got PFC 331s, 332s, so wanted to make sure they were in good condition. Sometimes that lower temp range might actually cause more wear, but looks like we're all good there.
Yeah, kind of pleasantly surprised versus my first One Lap on 01s where I had to stop and change rotors because halfway through the event we had worn it enough that it was concerning on the attachment points. To now, we've got 3,500 miles on this car on the road, out of temp range, plus all the track stuff, etc. Alcon brakes on this car, they have massive pads anyway, plenty of pad, discs, huge, plenty of disc, no wear concern, so great, good for us.
Feeling good.
Feeling good.
Wheel bearings, constant thing, check the play there, all good, but also we have all kinds of spherical bearings, rod ends, heim joints all over this thing, all the SPL arms. Gave a super thorough inspection of all of that stuff. Any play there, not acceptable, but really, everything's looking really good. Happy to see everything still holding up pretty well there.
Yeah, that kind of speaks to the quality of the components used in those SPL pieces, and it's really awesome to see, whether we're talking about the racing brake pads that we're driving on the street or SPL arms and suspension components that really are racing components, really did hold up well on the street. So again, good for us.
Yeah. Next up, fluids. I'm gonna do a full fluid refresh on this thing. Probably went over-ish about where we would normally land for a fluid interval on this car. Diff fluid, trans fluid, engine oil. We have a fresh engine in this thing. And one of our set down things with this is an engine health check, and grabbed a sample of that oil, send it off to Blackstone and Redline and get it checked out and see, is everything operating well? Everything look good in there?
Yeah, it's, I say 3,500 street miles plus there was 9 track events I think worked into that mileage. Redline fluids, I feel really good about the temperature range that those things operate. We had a customer this morning that was running a car at a race this weekend and was at about 275 Fahrenheit and was concerned about that. That's not a concern of mine with Redline oil because of the Group 5 base stocks, because of the quality of the oil, but that 3,500 miles plus the track events, that's like over a half a season of pro racing use. So it's pretty overdue for these fluid changes. So good to finally get to it.
Yep. Other things, you guys are probably wondering, well, what happened with the transmission? The transmission seemed like a question mark, right? Well, we went ahead and pulled the transmission. We wanted to inspect everything and open it up, took a good look at the clutches, see if anything was worn out there. Everything looks really good. So we still feel confident that it was something from the prototype part failure that happened at the VIR test before One Lap that caused some debris, caused some damage, something in the clutch area, and just wore out those inner discs. So
yeah. It's, I've never been so anxious about a component of a car, but
me either.
Right, yeah.
From afar.
Yeah, Phil from back home sorting out all the problems. That's again the nature of that One Lap event, and and what makes that event such a great proving ground for the work that we're doing, because if we build this thing as a street track car, and if we're looking at customer examples of this car, and there's a couple of those kind of floating around the shop right now, customers don't want to deal with things at the level that we would on a pro race weekend, or they don't want to have things keep popping up. So it made me anxious, for sure, but it's because I'm stuck in West Texas and I have to get home. And so of course it's going to make me anxious. These things make me a lot less anxious When I trailer the car to the track, we do the track event and trailer it back. Evan and I had some tense moments because you go through a failure like that and it's like every noise. What was that? Well, turns out it was nothing. It was just us being super anxious and remembering what a challenge that can be. So great that our transmission's working. SSP clutches look fantastic.
Yep.
And we'll continue to pound on this car.
Something not looking super fantastic is this this license plate frame. It's seen a little worse for wear.
Yeah, we seem to go through these once an event, and so this one hung on for a week, but yeah, with the power this thing's putting out, with the exhaust heat, and with this wing, I think that was the big change of what the license plate looks like. We put this massive GTMore wing on the car, and the vacuum it creates, the air it pulls from under the car and up to create that downforce, sucks it right up onto the back of the car, onto the plate, and we've got a stack of these license plate frames, and so this one gets added to the stack and we put a new one on for the next event.
Yep.
Got to represent.
Splitter repair. You can see we got a splitter here. This is the original prototype GTMore splitter, and honestly, it's held up super well over the past couple of years. I know I haven't been super kind to it at times. I think you've not been super kind to it at times.
Evan definitely wasn't kind to this.
That is correct.
And I think you'll probably want to insert that reel of Kevin blowing off the track.
We could loop it. Yeah.
So this is a prototype part. What that means is it's not the production part. The production part is full carbon. We had to print some things, some of the attachment points and so forth, and that's where we saw the issues in those printed parts. New parts are carbon, so feel great about the production version of this. Honestly, I feel great about even this in prototype phase on this car because, quite honestly, Evan and I got pretty lazy, and it was our plan.
Weird.
It was our plan at the start of this event. Every transit, we were going to raise the car up and make sure that the splitter wasn't in those long transits. Yeah, we got lazy and we left the car at regular track ride height. In fact, we lowered the ride height halfway through the event to find more downforce. The closer the splitter is to the ground, the more downforce. So at one point we were riding about 2 inches off the ground doing commutes like that because we're lazy. And the splitter looks awesome. And the beauty of this piece is it's robust. There's no big issues. The little issues in the splitter, which are again prototype parts, but even on production runs, you can just fix it, and it's easy to fix. And so we're just gluing some things. We made new inserts on the ends, which kind of really took the beating from our couple of years of use, and we'll put it back on the car, and it'll be great again.
Yep.
I know one thing that I learned was power. If I was a cowboy and I saddled up with two guns,
Where's this going?
For one lap, I would have pulled them out and shot both of my feet at the same time with our approach to turbos and tuning.
That sounds about right.
So, car is awesome, but we kept thinking we need big power, and this car makes big power, 700 plus, but
800.
Well, I keep getting chastised for saying it makes too much power. So, okay, so it makes 800.
I'm here now so I can correct it, so.
Phil's the expert on this. I just say the words. And half the time wrong, but now I've got instant edit. So thank you for that, Phil.
Here to help.
Has the potential to make 800. We felt like that was important, so we put turbos on it that would support that. The engine's built to be able to withstand that. But then in that one lap event, we have to figure out how to get fuel. And so fuel is, of course, a critical part of making the power. We'd like to have high octane. We'd like to have 93, at least. When we're making real power, we'd like to have 109, 110 leaded. Some of these things that you wouldn't really run on the street. And if you're doing a 3,500 mile road trip, certainly you can't carry it with you. And finding it on the day of the event and not dealing with swapping tunes in and out of the car and so forth, it was just beyond the scope. So we dialed back the power. And so we got the worst of both worlds. Again, shooting both feet. We got low power because we turned it down because of fuel selection, And we got low torque out of the turns because we had the big turbos, but we weren't actually using the big turbos for their intended purposes.
Laggy too, just took a while to get them going.
Yeah, so anyway, we're retuning. And we're retuning for a track event where we will trailer with 2 drums of VP MS-109 high octane fuel unleaded, because that is a requirement of the event we're going to. And so we're going to make the power. So we will get the best of both worlds.
The track makes a difference though too, right? You know, the
Yeah.
tracks that we did for one lap were these small tracks, tight tracks. Road America, a little different, right?
Yeah, Road America, wide open, super fast. There'll be 3 straights on that track that we're going to be 180 plus. So that's where you really want the big power. One of the concepts of this car build, one of the fundamental pieces, is that we wanted to be able to fit big wheels and tires all 4 corners, just like the GT4. So on a road car, we've achieved that, and we're able to fit these 18 by 11s 4 corners. We've got 315 street tires on them. Can fit those 305 slicks, no problem. We can probably go bigger than that. But again, we're in GridLife, and the rules for our class is a max of a 285 tread width tire. So we kind of have to downsize. We're a little bummed about that, but Continental's there for us. So we've got a couple of tire options. So we ran the Continental ECS02, which is their rain, well, I say a rain tire. It's a road car tire, and it's a fantastic high performance road car tire with a focus on wet weather performance, which was awesome on one lap. Great when it rained because it poured at a lot of those events for one lap. We don't know what the weather's gonna do. I haven't checked it yet, but we're armed with the options. We've got ECS02s in a
285, 3018.
285 width, and that will be our rain tire option. We also have Continental ECF tires, extreme contact force. So this is their 200 tread wear tire. That's at a 275.
Correct, you are correct.
Still knows the numbers. Different tire options, still fitting it on 18 by 10 and a half on one of those.
Yep.
One of those, I guess the ECS02, given a narrow tire, is gonna be 18, 10 and a half. The ECF is gonna be, even though it's a 275, is gonna fit nicely on an 1811. So we're gonna be able to keep the TA16 wheels that we've got on it, maybe TA5Rs for one of the options. So, but we have our tire options sorted out.
Yeah, due to the narrower width of the tire, we actually are going to do the 5Rs because of the offset. The TA16 offset is higher, and we're going to use the 5R offset that's lower to get that track width back.
Phil knows numbers.
Something like that.
We get it, Phil.
Whatever.
So what else have we done? Suspension. Another GridLife rule, we've got to have no more than 2 external adjustments to the dampers. So we had these MCS 3-way dampers on it for one lap, no rules, do whatever you want. MCS, because we kind of knew that through the variety of events we were gonna need to change some things. We put quick connects on these dampers, so it's really just as easy as depressuring the can and using those quick connects, putting on a 2-way canister, and bam, now we've got 2 ways.
Yep.
So thanks MCS for sending us those. They locked in our low speed compression where we wanted it. We're losing the adjustability, but we're not losing the performance. So, you know, that should be good. Road America's repaved this year, and I think it's like a billiard smooth race car track now, so we'll be good.
Yep. Brake deflectors are on this thing, which you had on there, but this will be, I think, a little bit bigger test for the brake deflectors at Road America.
Yeah, Road America will be a massive test for the brakes just because of those high speeds. That's really where you have brake temps. Do it lap after lap after lap. One lap, we only had 3 laps max. This event will have a lot more laps. We'll have a lot higher speeds, so brake wear and brake temp is kind of exponential with speed, and having a brake cooling solution, even though our splitter accommodates brake cooling.
Yep.
We have used this brake deflector that we came out with, super effective. We've tested it back to back without the deflectors, and we're seeing significant reduction in brake temp with that. So that's gonna be important for us.
Yep. On the power note, exhaust.
Oh.
We were limited. Obviously, we drove this thing on the street for however many miles, so we had cats in the car. Now we can uncork this thing a little bit because we are trailering to the track and now go with catless downpipes.
Yeah. Anytime at BimmerWorld when we have this tag on the car, it's a street car. It gets cats. When we go to a racetrack and we don't drive on the street and this becomes a race car, we can put racing parts on it. And I know some of our customers are frustrated because we do not sell EPA non-compliant parts when the car does not live on the track full-time. But when we put it on the track and it becomes a road race car, we can violate those EPA rules because they no longer apply to us, so we're not actually violating the rule. But the cool thing about the GTMore exhaust that we created is we do have the road version, which is what we ran in one lap, and we have the non-catted version that we can run on racetracks and when EPA doesn't apply to us, when the tags disappear from the car. So,
Yep.
Road America is one of my absolute favorite tracks, and I'm looking forward to going to the GridLife event because that looks like a ton of fun. But I'm looking forward to yet another reason to visit Wisconsin in the summer, which is like that 1 month period they have right in August. And all the amazing weather, the long days, the crazy fast track. And I am ready to run an uncorked GTMore because this thing is going to be so much fun. It's going to take away some of that frustration I had with that low power tune that I kept pushing on to have for, let's raise the power, but now Phil, our numbers guy, is allowing me to raise the power. So this car really did awesome in one lap, and to win the luxury class in a car that we made some errors on in our prep for the event. It's been a while since I've done that one. I forgot about how tight the tracks were and so forth. But to have a car that's this robust, just never missed a beat, except for the transmission, and thanks to Phil, we didn't miss a beat. And Dave Simpkins, who showed up in the middle of the night in Tennessee.
And Mike Akard.
And Mike Akard's shop. Yeah, a lot of help with this. But anyway, we made it happen. But yeah, long list of learning opportunities. I think we've addressed the majority.
I did miss one. You wanted to hit on weight, maybe?
Yeah, weight. That was a factor in one lap. How do you make a car faster? You make it lighter. This thing has a full interior, except for the rear seats, which we pulled out, but add the roll bar and safety equipment, fire suppression system, etc. So this thing weighs in at about the same weight as a stock car, which easy to pull 500 pounds out for racing use. So that I would want to do that if I could live with that at a one lap event, because 500 pounds is huge. But we're not doing one lap. We're doing GridLife. And for our GridLife class, which is
Street mod.
Street mod requires that we have a street car in many senses.
Yeah, we've got, so mostly full interior, B-pillar forward, it's got to have door cards, carpet, all that stuff. You can have a roll bar, you can have racing seats and harnesses, safety stuff. But there are a few other things that we do have to modify from the normal GTMore formula to fit it into street mod. One of those being this wing that hangs back and sucks up that air has to get moved forward so that it doesn't overhang any more than 5 inches past the rear bumper. And that's the rule across the board. Form a box around the car, and anything that protrudes more than 5 inches is not legal. Splitter is legal, diplane's legal, can have 4 diplanes.
So that's kind of a bummer because we lose a little bit of downforce, but that's okay because we were running this wing as flat as we could anyway. This thing is massive. It's wildly efficient. Certainly it helps with the swan neck attachments and the fact that we can hang it way off the back of the car. That adds downforce, but so does adding angle. So we can add some angle, crank in some more power to pull it on these long straights, and not too worried about it.
We got a couple more names riding from Racing Names Alzheimer's. Those came in yesterday actually. Gonna get those on the car before we roll out.
But we'll let it rip. We'll keep you updated. Follow along. You've got this line. Follow along. Watch our socials, the Instagrams, and the
like, subscribe, comment, something like that. Smash that like button. I don't know.
Yeah. So tune in, and we'll have more content as we go to the racetrack and go through this event. Looking forward to it.
Ready to go? Should be an awesome race weekend.
We are ready to kill it this year.
It's good. It's good.
It's going to be a wild ride.